Hey, if you are an ICF member, the following information might be relevant to you since ICF have new accreditation rules. The ICF now requires you to complete a quiz after watching a session recording so you can get CC units for it. After you've fully watched this session recording, simply scroll down to the session resources and find a one-question quiz. Please complete it and you will ensure that you've received the CC units for this session. And if you already attended this session live, you've already been granted the CC units for it, and you don't need to complete this quiz. Also, here is a quick tutorial on how to get the most out of our new video player. Click on the CC button to turn on captions. Click on the search button, enter a specific keyword, and then click on the result. And you will be taken to the part of the video where your keyword is mentioned. Click here to download raw transcripts and head over here for the downloadable audio. That's it from me. Hope you enjoyed this session.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. We are so glad to have you joining us for the final week of the 14th annual Coaching.com Summit. Today's session will last for 50 minutes and we would love to make this a conversation. So please make sure to post your questions throughout into the Q&A box. The chat box is deliberately disabled so that we can share important information with you. My name is Beth Schofield and I'll be your host on today's session, which is how to nail your unique value position to get more clients. And that's with Jonathan Reitz, who I'll be bringing on in just a moment. We also have Mercy with us joining us to create your questions and comments. Now, I would love to give a big warm welcome to all of you who are new to Coaching.com. We hope that you've registered for many sessions and gained lots of valuable insights from our incredible thought leaders throughout your experience. And if you would like ongoing access to recordings, slides, and to continue your learning with us throughout the year, then we hope you will join us in our membership. You can check out and read all about our Coaching.com membership at coaching.com/membership, and Mercy will put the link to that page into the chat box so you can go and check it out. And for those of you who are already Coaching.com members, we of course want to thank you for your loyalty and support, and we have made some really exciting upgrades to your membership, which you are going to experience in the next few months, including live workshops and lots more opportunities to network and mastermind with your peers as well. Now, while we are on the topic of members, I'm just going to switch slides here. Because Jonathan is hosting a special members-only backstage session immediately after this main webinar. Now, backstage sessions offer a unique opportunity to engage with the speakers on a personal level, allowing you to ask questions and gain insights that can enhance your learning experience. Again, if you are not yet a Coaching.com member, you can check out our options at coaching.com/membership. So here on the screen now, you can see the flow for the main session and the backstage session. We are all going to be here together in this webinar for 50 minutes. And then Pro and Premium members will go into the 30-minute backstage pass session. And then after that, we are all going to return here to this webinar for the implementation mastery sessions. So Pro and Premium members, you can join the backstage pass session through a separate join link, which will be inside your membership area if you have already registered for the session. If you haven't already registered, you can go and do so now so that you have that link ready to join in 50 minutes time. If you are not a member, all you need to do is stay in this webinar. We'll be taking a break. Feel free to do some work or stretch your legs, whatever you want to do. And then we'll be coming back here for the implementation mastery sessions at 2:40 p.m. Eastern time, which is 50 minutes after this webinar ends. Okay, so I'm going to leave this slide on while I introduce Jonathan so everybody is clear on today's session format. Feel free to take a screenshot or a picture of this to help increase your clarity on it as well. I'll also pull this up at the end so everybody is crystal clear on where they need to be and at what time. Okay, so we can officially get started, and I am so honored to introduce Jonathan Reitz. Jonathan leads Fluxify as its CEO and Director of Education. A distinguished coach with an MBA, he holds the prestigious Master Certified Coach credential and advanced certification in team coaching from the ICF. Jonathan is Director of Education for the Weatherhead Coaching Program at Case Western Reserve University and is co-founder of the Team Coaching Global Alliance. A vanguard in AI and coaching research, he has served as an ICF subject matter across multiple domains, and his literary contributions include Coaching Hacks, Simple Strategies to Make Every Conversation More Effective, with another insightful book anticipated in late 2024. So very excited for that coming out later this year, Jonathan. And with that, I will hand over to you.
Beth, I really do appreciate it. Thanks for the opportunity to be here. I was so excited to see that Beth was going to be the host of this particular session, because Beth is the person who invited me to speak at my first summit. Now, 6 summits ago. This is my 6th summit. Hard to believe. I want to say thanks to her and to you for being here. I have really enjoyed seeing in the Q&A how big a challenge finding new clients is. Now, I don't enjoy that reality. That's a hard kind of reality. But the fact of the matter is it speaks to why we're going to talk about what we're going to talk about today, which is figuring out a way to describe clearly and cleanly what value it is that your coaching offers. In fact, this is not something that comes naturally to most coaches. Let's just be honest. I did not get into coaching thinking I was going to have to spend as much time as I do operating my business. I got into coaching because I wanted to coach people. I became a small business owner and therefore an entrepreneur as a result of deciding what I was going to do in coaching. And I noticed in the chat area, Matthew, a coach from Cleveland, Ohio. This is somebody I know, so maybe this stood out to me. And by the way, if you see Matthew Cintrone Quinones, congratulate him. Probably the newest MCC in the entire ICF world. You might want to say congratulations to him in the Q&A slides. But Matthew commented in the chat area, the biggest challenge that he's dealing with is finding new clients that show up who are ready to be coached. Yeah, I think that's a thing. Let's just be honest. This is one of the things that all of us wrestle with. How do we do that? How do we make this easier? Well, I'm going to suggest to you the key is understanding the value proposition that you bring to the table when you work with a client. Now, what actually is a value proposition? I really love this definition. This is straight out of Google. I put into Google, hey, what is a value proposition? And this is what it said. An innovation, service, or feature intended to make a company or product attractive to customers. Hey, what actually is that thing that makes your coaching attractive to customers? Yeah, I think that's a great question. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm doing this a little differently in this year's summit than I ever have before. In fact, I'm going to take the slides down just for a second, just long enough to look you in the eye here for a second. Because bottom line, every other summit I've been a part of, I've brought to you insight that I came up with from my coaching practice. I've got about 11,000 hours of coaching experience. I've worked with clients in something like 38 countries. I do this all day, every day. But when it came down to figuring out how I was going to position my business so that I had a supply of customers ready to go, I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't crack the code. I used to have hair right here, and that all came out because I pulled it out when I was trying to figure out how to position my business. So I did what all of us should probably do eventually. That is, I started diving into who actually is the customer I want to serve. It's not an original question. I looked at a whole bunch of different methods. I looked at a whole bunch of different sources and opinions, and there wasn't agreement about how much you need to know about your target client. There's a wide range of opinions. So, you know what? I want to do the next best thing, and I want to ask you directly. In fact, let's go ahead and open up the poll right now. How much do you need to know about your ideal client? Please vote for one. Please vote for one option in this listing. You see what's there. Might be a fact or two, what they do and where they work. You know, a few bullet points, enough to feel confident. You know, it's funny you say that. It's funny that there are folks, and I appreciate the honest people that are saying, look, I only need to know the budget for coaching. You know, what have they got that they can compensate a coach with? That's really all I need to know, more than I typically have. And then I noticed in the chat area that Maxine says, hey, I need to know their pain points. Well done, Maxine. Yeah, that's a critical conversation. We're going to come to that coming up in just a moment. And bottom line, we'll give it another 15 seconds or so. Bottom line here, if you're going to serve a target client well, the critical opportunity, the critical challenge is to know enough about them that you are absolutely confident that you can serve them. And very good. A lot of people, the majority of the answers here in the room said, I need to know enough so that I can make some decisions about who I'm working with. Now, I eventually arrived there. Now Maynard says, hey, I need to know the results they want to achieve. Now, yes, you do, but that wasn't the question. That wasn't the question. The question is, well, how much do you need to know about your ideal client? It's a little bit different. So I want to try to figure out a way to nail down, hey, what is it about this individual that makes them an ideal coaching client for me? And, you know, I said to somebody recently that there is an opportunity that all of us have when we coach, when we engage in a coaching relationship. First and foremost, we have to make a choice. Is it going to be about the coaching, or is it going to be about the relationship? Or will it be a mix of both? You know, that's really the critical question as you go into an engagement. Is, do you know enough about your target client so that it can either be about the relationship or be about the client? Yeah, that really is the critical thing. You know, can you make it about the relationship when the person wants it to be about the relationship? I sure hope so. Can you make it about coaching when the person wants to have it be about coaching? I hope you can too. I hope you can do that too. That's the sweet spot. That's when you know you've got enough information that you can go where the conversation needs to go. Now, Maxine says, hey, can you expand on it being about the relationship? Here's what I would throw out there. Now, I'm on the record as saying, I don't think it's an either or kind of thing. It's not the person. It's not coach the person or the problem. It's not, I don't think it's either or. I think it's both and. And the framework I like right now is I was reading a book recently called Super Communicators by a guy named Charles Duhigg. And yes, we'll put that in the chat area. This guy said that Charles Duhigg said that there's really three kinds of conversations that lead to relationship. There's the practical conversation where the goal is really being about, can you get something done? There's the supportive emotional conversation where the target of the conversation is, you know, can you show up for this person? See, already we've got two different kinds of coaching conversations going on, because there, you know as well as I do, there are practical conversations. There are also supportive, emotional growth related conversations. But Duhigg says there's a third kind as well, which is the social conversation, where there is an opportunity to connect and to engage. And it might just be about fun. It might be about doing something you enjoy. It might be about a whole bunch of other things. There's just a connection going on. And conversations work best. I think this is critical for us as coaches. Conversations work best when both people in the conversation are looking for the same thing. So if you're looking for a practical working kind of conversation, coach and client have to be focused on that. Or if you're looking for a emotional, supportive conversation, coach and client both have to be working toward that kind of thing. I think this is a real challenge for us that come into coaching. A lot of coaches want to say, you know what, I'm all about getting stuff done. I'm all about progress and productivity and things like that. That's not what your client's looking for. You know what? It ain't going to work. Or clients say, you know what, I want to get into your values. I want to get into what's going on. I want to build awareness and build insight and all those kinds of things. Well, if that's not what your client's looking for, it ain't going to work. And I think a lot of us as coaches struggle to think about what we bring to the table, the value we want to offer, and then what clients are looking for, the value they want to take away from the conversation. That is a huge conundrum for a lot of us. And I found myself in a very specific situation a few years ago going, you know what I think I'm offering to clients is not always what they come to me for. I need to think about how I'm positioning, how I'm directing what I'm doing in some specific and meaningful ways. WTF. I got to figure out something different because it ain't working. And I tried everything. Like I say, there's a whole bunch of information out there about how much of thoughts out there about how much do you need to know about your ideal client. I couldn't come to consensus. I couldn't figure it out for myself. So I started looking around for, how do I build a repeatable coaching business that's not going to take all my time to operate it? That was the critical operating question. And I discovered a company called Strategyzer. And notice how it's spelled, Strategyer, Strategyzer.com. This company built out tools that helped me answer the big question that I had about all of this. The practice of innovation. Strategyzer, about 10 years ago, ran a crowdsourced project looking for the key elements of a business model. And then they did an amazing thing, and they put all the key elements of the business model from these folks from crowdsourcing the conversation with thousands of people around the world. They put them all into a single page called the Business Model Canvas. Looks like this. There's 9 elements to it. It's everything you need to run a business. And in the course of this, it taught me how to clearly describe what I do, how I do it, and what value my clients take away from it. I'm going to walk you through that process. I'm also going to tell you a couple of other stories about some other folks, the other coaches that I know that work through this using similar tools. Just by way of proof, there is a photo of my office wall. That is my business model canvas. That's literally like right over there. It's just on the other side of my monitor on the wall, and it talks about the things that I offer to make a tremendous, hopefully, impact in my clients' lives. I want to show you how easy it is so that you can customize, you can custom tailor your offering to serve your clients. Now, big idea here on the Business Model Canvas, and we're going to give you a link to where you can get all of this information, It really is a useful tool. And I am speaking to you from experience that using these tools to dive into the conversation. This business model canvas, before it was released to the public, was used to start over 8,000 small businesses globally. Incredibly powerful toolkit. So just quick orientation here. I'm gonna make your head spin. We're going to go real quick through this, but you're going to walk away able to elucidate what your value is all about, especially when you and your client are looking for the same thing. First thing to know on the business model canvas, this side, the right side of the screen, is all about what is public facing, what is forward facing, what is able to be seen by the customer. And when you take that away, that leaves, obviously, the back office operations. They're equally split. There's things that are publicly visible, publicly available, and the things that run in the background. The unifying principle here is that there is a simple, easy question for each one of the 9 boxes. Now get your screenshot fingers ready, because I'm going to put the 9 questions up here, and then we're going to dive into this. So in the center of it all, the value proposition, the easy way to think about that is, what value does this create for the customer? Now notice, this is not about you. This is not about the coach. In fact, I'm going to take this down long enough to, once again, look in the eye. This is not about the coach. This is about the customer. I think that's the hardest strategy for us to get right as we look to launch our coaching practices. Way too many coaches talk about, well, this is what I want to do to coach. Yeah, that's great. And seriously, that is great. I love the fact that you're clear on that. But businesses get built by serving customers, not by doing what you want. So make sure absolutely everything you do is about serving your ideal client. It's great you have your MCC. I have mine. I'm not afraid to tell people. I celebrate with people that get them. I think it's a great thing. Tell me about the value you're producing for your clients, because that's the big opportunity. All right, one more thing here. I'm going to get on go at the risk of getting on my soapbox here. I'm not going to, I promise. This is the biggest challenge in the coaching industry. We love to talk about what coaches can do when we should be talking about what value we're producing for clients. This is the big challenge with the AI conversation. How many of you have found yourself saying, well, there's no way software can do what I can do? No, wrong question. Absolutely the wrong question. The opportunity for us as coaches is not to think about, can the software replace us, but rather, what value does the software produce for our clients that we can enhance and multiply? That's how you build a reputation that helps you get clients, is you serve your clients by having them be the focus of what you're doing. All right, I'm going back to my session now. I'm going back to the slides now. So just really, if you take nothing else away from this 50 minutes today, take this. Bottom line, we have to be clear on the value we're creating for the customers. Almost as important as that is, who are the customers? What do you know about them? What kind of details do you know about who this person is? What are they wrestling with? What's causing pain for them? Where do they want to grow? Where do they want to gain? What other opportunities are in front of them? Now, in between those, I love this visual. What is your relationship or relationships with the customers? You might have several kinds of customers that you work with. I like to think about, I am a working coach who supports working coaches. That's what I want to be about. So if you are a coach who's got clients, or who's looking for clients, who is improving their skills, you know what? Great. Everything I do is tailored for you. That's one of those great opportunities. The channels question is, how will you communicate with the customer? Because it's about the customer. And if there's one thing we coaches know, is we know how to ask questions. We know how to listen. So that channel is a two-way thing in our case. It's not for everybody. We have a giant advantage because the channels are two-way for us. So consider that. Give that some thought. Last part of the forward facing is what can you sell to the customers? What's your product going to look like? Now, I think you have to figure out all those other four before you even start getting at, hey, what does my product offering look like? Who's the customer? What's your relationship? How you communicate? All those kinds of things have to be clear before you can start thinking about this is what my product offering is going to look like. Now, on the stuff that goes on behind the scenes, there's things like key activities. What do you have to do to serve the customers? Are you going to maintain a blog? Are you going to post on social media? Are you going to do TikTok videos? What is it that you're going to do to serve the customers? How are you going to prepare for your coaching sessions? All of those kinds of things. Key resources. What do you have available to work with? Who might you partner with? That's a great question. And then what expenses will you incur as you deliver this project? Now, I'm going to just let this up on the screen for right now because I want you to screenshot this. I want you to screenshot this. These questions are critical. These 9 questions will keep you focused on the customer. But you know what else they'll do? They'll also set you up so that you can be you. These 9 questions will give you an acute focus. Well, there's a couple more we're going to throw in, but this will give you an acute focus on what your customer is looking for. And you can build your business, the things that you get to do around these 9 questions. So powerful. Now, I know what you're saying. You're saying, Jonathan, that's a business model. What's the value proposition? Well, the value proposition, that's the thing at the center of it all. The value proposition is the thing that sets you up to be crystal clear on what you offer to your clients. It's the marriage of what you offer and what your client needs. That's the thing. Now, embedded in the business model canvas is this idea that the value proposition is built on a side-by-side comparison. We're only going to look at the red side, but we'll talk about the green side. But think about it this way. The 3 areas that make up your value proposition. First of all, customer jobs. That's not where does your customer work. That's not where does your client work. That's not what's their title. It's not what we're talking about. It's what are they trying to do? Like, for example, my client base tends to be leaders who are working on a vision, who have people following them, and who are starting a new project. So the jobs they're trying to do are develop and communicate their vision. Great. Love that. I can coach that. They have people following them, managing people. You know what? I can coach that too. And then the third job that they're doing is taking on a new project, starting a new project. You know what? All right. I know a little bit about starting. I'm a 7-time entrepreneur. Those are all areas that match what I offer with what my ideal client needs from the situation. When we talk about customer jobs, remember, we're not talking title. We're not talking, role. We're talking day to day. What are they trying to do? I'm thinking about a client I know, a coach, another coach I know, also whose name happens to be Jonathan. In fact, you're going to meet him in the coaching mastery sessions later this year when we work through this process. John is working with a group of executives who also happen to be artists, and the job they're trying to do is to bring artistry to the way they manage their company. So one of the jobs is learning to become aware of where there's an opportunity to be creative. He's coaching them into new awarenesses. Another of the jobs that group is doing is trying to learn to be cognizant of a budget. Pretty important, right? Well, he's coaching fiscal responsibility and awareness. Those are some of the jobs that this particular client is looking to accomplish. So anytime you can help your client name hey, this is what I'm trying to do, you're setting them up for success. Next area of all of this is the gains. This is where I want to grow. This is where, this is how I want my business to change, or this is how I know I need to develop myself. I got some feedback from my team 9 months ago that maybe I wasn't as emotionally sensitive, as emotionally intelligent as I thought I was. And so I set out on a quest to learn some of those skills. I know it's hard for you to believe, seeing me in the conversation. I know it's true, but I said, hey, look, this is where I wanted to grow. I'm trying to do these things to build a coaching practice, to build a training school, but I also get to grow in that particular area. So if there was a coach out there that was working on coaching emotional intelligence, I was seeking that person out. I found somebody eventually, but that was a conversation. Gains means, where's your client looking to grow? And then the third area is pains. What hurts to the point where I don't want to do that anymore, where I want to do those kinds of things anymore. That's a critical set of opportunities. This simple, clean process where you marry what your what your client is trying to do with where they want to grow. And in some ways, you might think of pains as what they need to stop doing, sets you up to create a value proposition. Your gain creator might be, hey, I coach emotional intelligence. Products and services might be, I help leaders develop their vision. Pain relievers might be, I help teams stay within budget. That's an example of the kind of thing that you can brainstorm. Now, let's throw this next slide here. Go ahead, screenshot it again. These are the key questions that will help you nail down what kinds of things your client might be looking for from you. The gains, wants, pains, these are needs, fears might be jobs, those kinds of things. This is another way to look at those the particular value proposition canvas. So go ahead and grab a screenshot of this, and here's what the actual value proposition canvas from Strategyzer looks like. Now, I want to point out one critical thing as we head the home stretch here. Your coaching might have more than one value proposition. Probably not more than 2 or 3, but you might have one or more than one. Now, notice the value proposition box up here on the top left corner is there for a reason. So you're going to write out, and I'm about to give you a formula. I'm about to drop the best bomb of all in the next few minutes, in the last few minutes together. You write the value proposition up here in the box on the upper left-hand side, along with the customer segment on the box on the upper right-hand side. Now, this is the critical thing. Now, hear me clearly. The customer segment determines the value proposition. Now, like I said, most of my coaching clients are leaders with a vision and people following them, taking on a new project. That's a customer segment. Those 4 facts. I have had other times where I've also had a customer segment of private equity funded early stage ventures. That's a very different strategy. It's a very different coaching value proposition. I've also had times where my coaching has been built around the idea that I worked with university professors. I had a bunch of people that were on a tenure track, but not quite there. I did a lot of that for a long time. I had a different value proposition for them because Their customer jobs are different. The things they're trying to accomplish are different. The gains, the areas where they want to grow are different. The things that cause them pain are different. So therefore, your value proposition needs to change. Now, remember, a value proposition is the thing that makes your product attractive to a potential client. It's where you add value for your clients. Now, how do you write one? No, I'm going to give you a simple. How many of you, now just by show of hands, or throw it in the chat area if you like? How many of you remember Mad Libs? Are you of the age like I am, where you would go on a car trip, and your parents would hand out the Mad Libs, and there'd be a narrative here, and it would say, Jonathan is blank, and it would say verb, that kind of thing. We're going to use a Mad Libs format for you to build your value proposition. Here we go. Our blank product and services helps customer segment blank who want to job to be done blank by a verb, reducing, avoiding, etc., and a customer pain, blah, 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 and a verb and a customer gain. So we're going to eliminate pain. We're going to focus on gain. And then maybe you might say, unlike, if you can put the value proposition of something, a competitor, or a different coach. For example, I'm going to fill this in now with something from my coaching. Our Orbit coaching practice. Now, what's an Orbit coaching package? That's a 1-year-long coaching engagement. An Orbit, get it? We go around the sun. I know, ha ha ha. Yeah, right. Our Orbit coaching practice. That's the product we offer. Helps leaders with a vision who want to, job to be done, have fun while engaging their team in a new project by leveraging their strength. Because I heard pretty regularly from a particular group of clients that they felt like their teams were not using their teams were under more notable stress because they weren't using their strengths and measuring their progress. Hey, we don't know if we don't know if it's working. One of the areas we could improve was we could measure our progress more clearly, more influentially. See, we just mad-libbed a value proposition. And then we could add in, unlike touchy-feely coaching, which this is from the private equity days when they were very concerned about new agey stuff and things along those lines. I said, well, okay, that's great. I do a little heart mind connection and a little heart math. I do use those tools occasionally. We just won't in this situation because it didn't speak to the pain point that the clients were having, unlike some of these other approaches. So let me take those all away. Let's take all that away here. In case you want to grab a screenshot here, we're going to put a link in the chat area where you can download all of these tools. You can download the business model canvas. You can download the value proposition canvas. You can download, this is called the ad lib value proposition canvas. The value proposition canvas ad lib. You can download that there as well. And go from there. So as we begin to wrap up our time here, Beth, how about we jump into some Q&A if you're ready to go, and see how this is landing with folks and what's going on with folks, and we go from there.
Sounds fabulous. Yes, we can definitely go into Q&A. So many lovely questions and comments coming into the Q&A box. Jonathan, thank you so much for that. Such a practical session, which I think people can really take so much from. What we are going to do is go into the Q&A, and while we are going back and forwards with questions, we are going to launch a feedback poll. Mercy will launch that now. And we would love to get your feedback on Jonathan's session. You don't have to vote on it immediately. We will leave it up there during the Q&A. So we are going to do questions for about 10 minutes now, and then we will be heading into the backstage session for our members. Okay, so thank you for launching that, Mercy. I will now pull up some questions. All right, Jonathan, are you ready?
Let's do it.
Okay, so we had a question earlier on from Corksel, who asked, Jonathan, how often do you make changes on your canvas?
Well, that's actually one of the things they suggest you do. They suggest you print it out. You saw in mine. Mine's a great big laminated. Yeah. It's like a meter by 3/4 of a meter wide. It's enormous, and I laminated it because I do everything on Post-it notes because, yeah, it does change. It does evolve. Now, how often? I'm going to stop short of saying, I can't give you a timeline. I can't give you a really clear timeline. What I can do is say to you that it does change regularly. And part of that is that I get interested in different situations and different clients and different circumstances. Part of it is that sometimes things stop working. Let's just be honest. And when you've been listening to your clients on a consistent basis, the real secret here is if you're tuned in, they will tell you if it's not working. They really will. You just have to be listening.
Is it something that you recommend kind of coming back to once a year or something to kind of evaluate, or is it more kind of fluid in you change as you feel like you need to almost?
It is a part of my year in review every year, the value proposition canvas and the business model. I do a little mid-year check-in on both of them, but since I started using this, I've been using this 7 years ago, for 7 years. No, I take that back. I've been using this for 9 years. I've only changed it mid-year once, but I check in on it mid-year. And in the last 3 years, I've been also doing quarterly check-ins, and I haven't changed it yet, but I've approached what I'm trying to do for the particular year from a different perspective based on those quarterly check-ins. So definitely you can put this into your predictable routine.
Awesome. Okay, thank you. Question from Prisha. They ask, as a suggestion for newly certified coaches, should we coach pro bono for some time and then start charging for our sessions?
Okay, real talk. Asking for compensation for your coaching is a muscle. The more you use it, the better you'll get at it. If your vision for yourself is to make your living, to support your life and your family from your coaching, the sooner you can get paid, you start getting paid for it, the better. So I would say to you from the very beginning, ask for something. Doesn't have to be much, but get in the habit of asking for something. When I first started, like I said, 11,700 hours ago, I would not coach someone unless there was compensation involved. Now, what I don't usually tell people is that most of the time, early on, the compensation was we met at a coffee shop and they bought the coffee. So ask for something. Build that muscle. Yeah, I know that's really impressive looking at my bicep as I say that. But the whole idea is learn to do that, because the sooner you learn to do that, the better off you're going to be.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Thank you. Adrienne asks, can you have two value propositions at the same time, and how do you manage both well?
Yes, you 100% can have that. I want to refer back to that. One of the last slides is that if you have two different customer segments that you serve, yes, you will likely have two relatively similar value propositions, but you can absolutely do that. Remember from the beginning of the conversation, say it with me now. It's all about the customer. It's about the client. If you have two different kinds of clients, you will probably have two different value propositions. Don't be afraid to designate it that way, but let the client tell you what value they want from you. Now, that feels all kinds of uncomfortable to say out loud. It's really not. You're going to find it's a lot more satisfying to consistently be giving clients something they want than it is to making it all about what I can do and what I want to do with my coaching. When you tap into that thing that clients want, oh my gosh, there's nothing better.
Love that. Thank you. Question from Paula. She says, how do you raise your visibility of your messaging so new clients can find your services?
When Beth calls you and asks you to be on the coaching.com summit, answer the email. That's a whole nother story. We've told that story in public in the past.
We have.
When I was first starting my coaching practice, now I've done a lot of public speaking. I was a television news anchor. I've been up in front of crowds my entire life. I would take a speaking engagement at any time, as long as I had even a small amount of thought about potential clients might be there. So finding places where your ideal client already are and going there is kind of the organizing principle here. So doing a little bit of diving into who do you want to coach and where would you find them? For example, I know a coach that this is not me. This is a coach actually here in Cleveland. She loves to coach people on developing their crafting skills, things to put like products on Etsy and things like that. And she started dropping into like resale shops and antique stores. And she used to go to quilting conferences looking for coaching clients to work with so that they could develop products that would end up on Etsy and some of the reseller sites on the internet. That was what she loved doing. That's the business niche she found. And she's got a waiting list. She dropped into these places where these clients already were, and she's got more clients than she can possibly handle. So go where your ideal clients already are and do something valuable for them. Do something valuable for them.
So I think a similar question is coming from Gihad, and they are asking, should the title you choose as a coach, for example, relationship coach, reflect your value proposition?
That is a great question. I'm going to say maybe. What does your target client respond to? Like, for example, I used to call myself I like to be the square peg in the round hole. You probably know that about me. If you've seen me on the summit before, you probably know that. I like to stand out. There is a part of me that appreciates standing up in front of a group. I used to call myself a startup coach because I always worked with early stage ventures. And one of my clients said to me, we don't need you drawing attention to the fact that we're early in the game. And I went, what do you mean? He had to explain it to me. And once that finally clicked to me that actually was getting in the way of working with who I wanted to work with, I went around to a couple of other folks that fit that target and I asked them about it. And they said, yeah, it'd be a lot better if you just called yourself an executive coach. And my immediate reaction was, well, that's what everybody who does what I do calls themselves. I don't want to do that. And then it sunk in going, wait a second, if it's all about the client, test what you want to call yourself with your ideal client. And based on the reaction, you can make an informed decision.
Got it. Thank you so much. Okay, we are at time for this segment of the presentation. Jonathan, that was wonderful. Thank you so much.
Hey, it's me again. This is a friendly reminder if you are an ICF member. Now that you've fully reviewed this session recording, simply scroll down to the session resources and find a one-question quiz. Please complete it, and you will ensure you've received the CC units for this session. And if you've already attended this session live, you've already been granted the CC units, and you don't need to complete this quiz. See you soon. Bye-bye.